is Senator Kunish, and I am calling to order the Minnesota Education Finance Committee. It's Tuesday, February 20th, 2024, and I want to thank all of you for joining us here this morning as we do a little preview from the Minnesota Department of Education. But before we do that, I'd just like to do some introductions. You will see some new people in this room helping us with the work that we do here. And so to my right, I have my legislative assistant, Emma Zellmer. To my left, I have my administrative assistant, Sammy Rajab. We also have with us our fiscal analyst, Jenna Hoffer, and our legislative analyst, Bjorn Arneson, and our Senate counsel, Anne Marie Lewis. They've been with us for a while, but Bjorn is new to us this year. Ryan Majers and Ed Cook are our research folks. Ryan is our DFL researcher, and Ed Cook is our Republican researcher. And then I'm wondering if the pages would like to come up, choose one of those microphones and just introduce yourselves. They will be here behind the scenes, making sure everything runs really smoothly, and so appreciative. So go ahead.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm CJ Larson. I'm a recent graduate from the U, and I'm just really excited to be here, everyone. Thank you.
I'm Michaela Hartje, and I went to UW Stout.
I'm Olivia Mackel, and I'm the float page, so I'll kind of be all over if I'm not here.
Thank you so much. Today we're going to do a little bit of a review of the work that we did last session. I think we can all agree it was a stupendous session with the most investment that we have ever made in education. I think it's important to point out that within this committee, between myself and Senator Swedzinski and Senator Farnsworth, just seeing if you were paying attention here. Between the three of us, we have 70 years of hands-on classroom teaching, instruction, administration, and work. And so I think it's those things that that bring us to this table and to do the kind of work that we do. And so I'm really proud of all of those years of service and how it helps influence us when we look at how we're going to, most importantly, address the issues in our schools. Last year, Senator, oh my gosh, I am losing my mind this morning. Yes, Gustafson brought us the no-cost breakfasts and lunches right away, and we were able to get that. We're seeing some really incredible outcomes from that. We were able to increase the formula. We were able to put money towards the early English learners and our SPED and our transportation subsidies. We were able to really put those dollars, I think, in areas that were our best use. Of course, as a library media specialist, I'm most proud of the work that we've done in our school libraries as well as our public libraries. And again, we're hearing about the big payoffs as kids are using those libraries and getting access to information and literature at higher rates than when the libraries were closed. And so this past summer, we spent a lot of time traveling around our state, trying to get a feel for get a sense of what's going on in our schools. And even though we were able to get some of those dollars to the schools early enough as they were planning, you know, we realized that those dollars weren't going to fix everything. It was our first year. We're not going to fix everything in 1 year, but we are going to continue to do the work to see how we can best identify and put the taxpayers' dollars in the best places so that our students have those world-class opportunities for education. We spent a lot of time traveling around the state, visiting schools. I think we went to 21 or 22 different schools, north, south, east, and west. We visited the School for the Blind and Deaf down in Faribault. We visited the School for the Deaf here in St. Paul. We learned so much from all of these experiences. And so once again, we're going to bring those details and those ideas to this committee and do the best work that we can for our students. So with that, I think we will move on to our department presentation. We have about 9 folks that will be testifying and sharing some really great information with us. I'm going to ask that we hold our questions until the end so we can get through the information. So you've got a really lovely thick packet here. Keep your notes on your slides, and then, as I said, at the end, I think we will entertain questions, and hopefully we'll have time to do that. So with that, let's begin with our Commissioner of Education, Willie Jett. If you would please state your name for the record, and you may begin.
Madam Chair, members, good morning. My name is Willie Jett, and I'm the Commissioner of Education. Excuse me. It is my pleasure to be here today to provide the committee with an update on the implementation of a number of programs that were passed in the 2023 legislative session. I have a number of our team here with me today to provide detail on these initiatives, but I want to take a few moments to provide some thoughts. So much of what the legislature passed has been crucial to making the One Minnesota Budget and Due North Plan come to life. Together, we are truly making Minnesota the best state for kids and families. All kids have access to healthy and nutritious meals. All kids will have a fair shot at learning to read successfully, and educators will have the resources and training they need to deliver on that promise. Our American Indian students and families will have resources and policies to deliver high-quality education in an environment that is supportive and affirming of their unique cultural and academic needs. We are seeking to serve our students' diverse needs by putting more support personnel into schools. The state is working hard to address the teacher workforce shortage by putting resources toward recruitment, retention, and professional development. And we will deliver these resources and services with integrity and fidelity. Our students deserve a safe, healthy, and supportive teaching and learning environment, and these resources and policies deliver that. Next slide, please. After an incredibly historic 2023 legislative session, MDE has been hard at work implementing all of the programs and funding that were passed into law. It's clear that the 2023 legislative session has already had dramatic impacts on people's lives. Since I've come to the department, I spent a lot of time around the state, meeting students, families, educators, and community members. I had a 4th grade student stop me and thank me for the breakfast and lunch he now gets to eat every day. A high school senior told me how grateful she was for free, accessible period products. And a parent shared the impact that unemployment insurance has made on her life, as she was able to use that time during the summer to work toward her teaching degree. Bottom line, the work done last year changed lives. Next slide, please. Today, we are going to present on 6 major areas that encompass initiatives that were passed in the 2023 legislative session. First, you will hear from Assistant Commissioner Darren Cordy on free meals. Second, Assistant Commissioner Bobby Burnham will present on the READ Act. Dr. Jane Harstad, Director of the Office of American Indian Education, will provide updates on new laws and resources for American Indian education. Deputy Commissioner Stephanie Graff will then discuss steps we have taken to support student mental health. Director of School Finance, Kathy Erickson, will present updates on student support personnel aid, unemployment insurance, and transportation sparsity aid. And we will close with Chief Operating Officer Patty Hand and Inspector General Patrick Wolfgram presenting on grants management and the Office of Inspector General. Next slide, please. Okay. Before I hand it off to my colleagues, I thought I would just take a little personal privilege and start us off on a high note by very briefly touching on some examples of implementation success that you will hear about today. I am pleased to share that we are seeing great results from our free school meals program, with breakfast and lunch participation both jumping by double-digit percentages. We hired our state literacy director, Julie Novak, and we have completed the curriculum review cycle selection. We're also making strides in the area of student mental health. We have set up the Student Support Personnel Aid Program. The Support Personnel Pipeline competitive grant application just closed several weeks ago. And we have hired several mental health focused or related staff members. Our finance team went to work and surveyed the state on unemployment insurance usage and distributed initial payments to schools. And I'm happy to report that we've gotten almost all of the over 60 legislative named grants fully awarded. This is no small feat, and my hat's off to our grants team. And straightforward and simple, we have our Office of Inspector General established. Mr. Wolfgram is proof of that. And so as you can see, there is a lot to be proud of and excited about. So with that, I will hand it off to Mr. Darren Cordy. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Cordy, if you would state your name for the record, and when you're ready, you sure can begin.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members. My name is Darren Cordy. I'm an Assistant Commissioner at the Minnesota Department of Education for our Office of Student Support Services, which includes our Nutrition Program Services Division. I'm here to give you an update on implementation of the Minnesota Free School Meals Program. So just as a reminder how this program works, this is a state-funded program that provides reimbursement for meals to students who do not qualify for free or reduced price meals under the federal income guidelines. And all students in Minnesota receive meals at no cost. In order to participate in this program, schools must participate in the National School Lunch Program and the School Breakfast Program and adhere to the regulations of those programs, which includes serving meals that meet the federal meal program requirements. Also, as a reminder, this is a program that is available, and we have participating both public schools and non-public schools. Just some more reminders on how this program works. Schools serve meals, and then they submit meal claim reimbursements to MDE, and we pay out claims back to the schools for the costs of those meals. Claims are in the form of meals. We count meals, not students, not expenses. Although the meal cost reimbursement is calculated by USDA to encompass the entire cost of serving a meal. So it's not just the cost of the actual food, but it includes the cost of staffing, equipment, even building utilities, et cetera. Meal claims are submitted within 60 days of the end of the claim month. So right now we only have complete claim data for September and October. So you will see some data that we have here, but in looking at September 2022 compared to September 2023, in this school year, we saw significant increases in both breakfast and lunch participation. In breakfast, we saw an increase of 31% year over year, and in lunch, an increase of 11% year over year. So we have those numbers broken out in terms of meal claim counts for you here. And one thing that we saw that was very interesting in these numbers was not only did we see an increase in the number of what we would call paid status families, that would be those that do not qualify for free and reduced price lunch, but we also saw a very significant increase in the number of both free meals served and free breakfast served to the tune of 500 and 600,000 meals each respectively. We can contribute this to a number of different factors. The main one probably is the requirement in the law that schools participating in the free school meals program, if they're eligible for the federal community eligibility provision, which I'll talk about here in a few more slides, that they must participate in that program in order to participate in free school meals. We also think part of it had to do with the robust public outreach campaign that was conducted both by MDE, our partner agencies such as the Department of Human Services, the Governor's Office, and of course our anti-hunger advocacy partners such as Hunger Solutions. You can also see, so CEP, this is just a reminder of what CEP is. It's, again, called the Community Eligibility Provision. This is a federal program under the National School Lunch and Breakfast Programs, wherein if a school has a school site, not a school district, if a school site has a certain percentage of their students eligible and directly certified for free and reduced price lunch, they can apply for and automatically have all of their students served free meals under federal reimbursement at no cost to the students regardless of their income level. Again, we required schools that were eligible under this program and would receive full funding under this program to participate in this program. So you can see that significant jump in participation both at the sponsor and site level from school year 22-23 to school year 23-24. Again, just a reminder how kind of sponsors and sites work. Under these programs, your sponsors are your school districts as a whole or your charter schools, whereas the site is the actual school site itself where the meals are served. So you can see those numbers in that graph there, or table there. Yep. So a few other things, just as reminders about how this program has been implemented. There's two ways in which a student can be determined as being free or reduced eligible or in that paid category. One is through direct certification, and the other is through the completion of the application for educational benefits, sometimes just called the free and reduced price lunch form. Direct certification is a process in which we do data matching with the Department of Human Services. So if you have students who are eligible for and receiving or participating in certain other public benefit programs such as the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, TANF, MFIP, or Medicaid, if they're participating in those programs, again, we use data matching from the Department of Human Services to determine which students are automatically income eligible to receive free or reduced price lunch. So we've been beefing that program up recently. That reduces the burden for families to actually go out and complete those forms and has resulted in, again, some pretty significant increases in students who are eligible for free or reduced meals. It is still a federal requirement for us to provide a form for families to apply for educational benefits. So we still do that. We've still encouraged our school districts to continue to encourage families to complete those forms, because for every student who is eligible for free or reduced price meals that fills out the form and receives those meals, that is federal reimbursement that we're getting that we don't then need state funding under the free school meals program for that student. Though that information is also very helpful and necessary for us when we're calculating the identified student percentage for which schools are eligible to participate in CEP. And it also helps us determine which areas of the state are eligible for certain programs under the Child and Adult Care Food Program and the Summer Food Service programs. Again, we have increased and beefed up our direct certification, but we do still feel the form is necessary to decrease the costs of the free school meals program, and it also is tied to a number of different eligibility programs for other programs in the state, such as early childhood scholarships, and we are working on a report to you, a legislatively required report that will be forthcoming, which talks a little bit more about how those forms are used and utilized in other state programs. So I believe that is all I have, and happy to answer more questions when we complete the presentation. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Corte. Did you have a comment or question, Mr.? Okay. All right.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
when you said hold questions, did you mean until after each presentation or until all of the presentations?
All the presentations.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Uni.
I apologize.
Yeah.
It seems, for the record, my name is Adosh Uni. I'm the Director of Government Relations for the Minnesota Department of Education. I'm wondering if we got some information that some presenters may have to leave early after the next portion of the presentation.
Okay.
Wondering if we can get a little bit of leeway to, if there are questions for the READ Act presentation, if we can take questions for just that portion right when they wrap up here, they're the next one, if that would be okay.
Sure. So if you do have questions for this next presentation by Ms. Burnham, would you all wait or get those ready, and then we'll save the questions until the end. So Assistant Commissioner, if you'd like to state your name, and you may begin.
Good morning, Madam Chair, committee members. My name is Bobby Burnham, and I'm the Assistant Commissioner for the Office of Teaching and Learning. And I'm here with Dr. Kim Gibbons from the Carey Center. Today, we're going to provide an update on the READ Act. And so the goal of the READ Act is every child in Minnesota can read at or above grade level, and multilingual learners and students receiving special education services are supported in achieving their individualized reading goals. So what the READ Act does for our Minnesota students, families, and educators is increases equitable access to effective literacy experiences for all students, ensures school leaders and educators are trained in structured literacy, implements and measures instructional practices through a multi-tiered system of support aligned to state academic standards, utilizes literacy data to inform instruction, educator development, resource deployment, and policy, and employs intentional family literacy and community engagement strategies. So by effectively implementing these core components of the READ Act from kindergarten, even earlier, and onwards, Minnesota school leaders and educators will have the supports to effectively teach children the foundational reading skills necessary to achieve grade level reading. This chart indicates the core components of the READ Act. Until the READ Act, the main investment has been in professional learning due to the $3 million investment for training and letters from the 2022 session. The READ Act has given Minnesota a much-needed shot in the arm in these other vital core areas, such as assessment and data literacy, evidence-based curriculum and materials, intervention, and literacy coaching. Implementation successes to date are that all the deadlines to date have been met that are in the READ Act. July 1, we released the universal screening menu. August 15th, the approved menu of training providers. September 15th, the request for information and process for approved curriculum selection was posted. And in early January, the approved curriculum list was posted. We have built capacity both at MDE and Carey. We have hired a state literacy director. We know the importance of the data that we will and are collecting from the READ Act. We have a READ Act data literacy specialist and a READ Act training and communication specialist. Many contracts are close to being executed, including the 3 training vendors and the contracts with the Minnesota Service Cooperatives to establish the regional literacy networks. This slide shows the key activities that have been assigned for year 1. Those in the green are activities that have been completed or are near completion. This slide also includes implementation milestones as well as key performance indicators. We have, this is for year 1, we also have the same set of information for year 2, year 3, and year 4. Now, Dr. Kim Gibbons is going to share with you some information on the curriculum review process.
Welcome to the committee here. If you'd like to state your name, and you may begin.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Kim Gibbons. I'm the director of the Center for Applied Research and Educational Improvement at the University of Minnesota. And I'm here today to talk about the review process that culminated with a list of approved curricula that were posted in January. So I wanted to just start by telling you that we started developing a curriculum review rubric a year ago last fall, and we co-created that rubric with Carey and the Minnesota Department of Education. And then we proceeded to test that rubric and do some usability groups. So we used a number of districts here in Minnesota to work through the rubric, districts that were involved in a curriculum adoption process. And then we also used the rubric with a group of districts out in California as well. So the rubric, after each usability test or meeting with different districts to use it, we made revisions based on the feedback that we were getting during those sessions. So the rubric that was used to evaluate the curriculum that are now on the list was version 3. So the rubric includes 8 domains. There's a global domain, and that doesn't mean like a global overall indicator, but it's looking at professional development, usability, supports for special populations of students. And then the remaining areas of the rubric are phonemic awareness, phonics, morphology, fluency, vocabulary, comprehension, writing, and a cultural responsiveness domain. So what we did for each curriculum is the rubric has what we call look-fors, and the look-fors are evidence-based practices that we want to see at each grade level. So when we reviewed each curriculum, we looked at every grade level within the curriculum, and then when we looked for those look-fors, and they were scored either 0 or 1. 1 if they had it, 0 if we couldn't find it. We also had red flags. Red flags are non-evidence-based practices that we don't want to see in the curriculum. So we did the same process and looked for those red flags, and 0 if they didn't exist, if we couldn't find any, 1 if they did exist. So if we go to the next slide. So before I share the list with you, I want to share a few questions that there seems to be a theme. A lot of people are asking these questions. And the questions are, why is the Minnesota list different from other state lists? And why is our current list so short? So the Minnesota list is different from other states because other states use a variety of methods to determine what's on the list. Some go to what's called EdReports, which is an organization that rates curriculum based on alignment to standards. Unfortunately, just because a curriculum is rated as meeting expectations on EdReports does not guarantee that it's aligned to structured literacy. Other states take a more superficial approach where they will look at the curricula and they'll look to see, oh, does the curriculum include units or lessons on phonics, morphology, phonemic awareness, comprehension, vocabulary. But they don't really go deep to look at how those skills are taught. So what we found with the curriculum review is that there are several very popular curriculum that actually are operating under 2 theoretical frameworks. So they have a lot of the practices that would fall under the category of non-evidence-based, but then they sprinkle in all of the components that are aligned with the science of reading. So that becomes really first confusing for students when a curriculum is used that operates under 2 opposing curriculum. And it helps explain as part of the reason why we haven't been getting the results that we wanted to see over the past 2 decades. The list is short right now because we did go very deep to look for evidence-based practices, red flags, and we included more domains. I would say that when I describe the actual review process, we had 32 reviewers and spent over 11,200 hours in a 7-week time period. We went really deep. The bottom line in all of this is that nothing on the current list has 100% of the look-fors. Those are those things that we want to see. But there are curriculum in existence that have a large percentage of look-fors and they have minimal to no red flags. So if we go to the next slide, I can tell you about the review itself. First of all, it's important to understand that there were 3 types of curricula that were submitted based on the request for information from publishers. And the 3 types of programs, the first one is a comprehensive ELA curriculum, and that's a curriculum that's designed to provide instruction in all of the different sub-areas of reading, so all of those different domains that I shared on the last slide, including writing. Foundational skills programs are curricula that are designed to provide instruction in at least one sub-area of foundational skill instruction. So foundational skills would be phonemic awareness, phonics, decoding, encoding, morphology, and fluency. If a district selected a foundational skills curriculum, that would need to be supplemented with what's called a knowledge building curriculum, and that's the 3rd type of curriculum. A language comprehension and knowledge-based building curriculum is a curriculum that's designed to provide instruction in at least one sub-area of language comprehension. So that's vocabulary comprehension and writing. So if a district selected a knowledge building curriculum, it would need to be paired with a foundational skills curriculum. The first step of our RFI, we had 42 comprehensive knowledge building, foundational, supplemental, or intervention programs submitted. And of those 42, we ended up reviewing 12 comprehensive curriculum, 14 foundational curriculum, and 1 knowledge building curriculum. Those programs that were excluded and didn't make it to phase 2 were either based on training requirements or being an intervention or a supplemental program and not being a core program. So all of the submissions were received by October 16th, and publishers were required to, they were given the rubric and they were asked to provide evidence at each grade level in each of the domains on the rubric for the look-fors. They were also supposed to address whether or not any red flags were present. We got access to all of their evidence that they submitted. They told us the page number from their curriculum. We got the teacher editions. We had a representative sampling of text from each grade level. We had program assessments and a scope and sequence for all grade levels submitted for review. I should tell you that all of the programs that were reviewed in phase 2, none of them reported any red flags. And some of them provided evidence at each grade level, but we had a fair amount of publishers that didn't submit evidence, but we went ahead and reviewed them anyway so that we could do a comprehensive review. So the ones that made it onto to the list at this point, after all of the reviews were completed, the information was organized in a spreadsheet, and we looked at the percentage of look-fors for each curriculum, and we also looked at the percentage of red flags. In coordination with our MDE Carey partnership team, we made the decision to put things on the list that had 75% or more of the look-fors and minimal to no red flags. The only, if a program had a red flag, it was included if it was very easy to resolve it and eliminate it. So you'll see that on the approved list, we have 1 comprehensive program, that's EL education, open up resources. There is a little confusion in the field because EL education has 3 curriculum products. They have EL Imagine, they have EL Open Up Resources, and they have EL Open Source. We reviewed EL Imagine, they did not make the list. Open Source was not submitted. The one that was approved was Open Up Resources. Wit and Wisdom is the knowledge building curriculum. And again, that covered vocabulary comprehension and writing. And then 3 foundational programs, magnetic reading, UFly foundations, and the University of Minnesota functional phonics and morphology. I would like to state that to avoid a perceived conflict of interest, when functional phonics was submitted, no member of our team reviewed that program. We hired outside consultants to do that review, and we didn't use there was no REDAC dollars, state or federal funding to support the development of that program. So right now, we're in the reconsideration process. All publishers have received their rubrics. They have until February 29th to submit additional evidence. So the task for them is, if they had only 40% of look-fors in a domain, they have to show us evidence of what did we miss, provide evidence of additional look-fors. They also have to address red flags. Our team has 60 days to review additional information to determine additions to the list. And then once that list is finalized, the reimbursement process will kick in, which I think you're going to talk about.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Director, for all that information, and thank you to all the people and the effort that went into reviewing curriculum. I've been on curriculum review teams, and it is not easy. It's fascinating. It's extremely time-consuming. You learn so much that you never even realized you didn't know. But at the end of the day, it's just really important that we do dig really deep into these curriculums, just as you were saying. There might be some things that address these issues that are the areas that we're most concerned about, but to what depth do they do that is really, I think, one of the key things. So thank you and your team for all of that.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then are we back to Assistant Commissioner? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So as Dr. Gibbons mentioned, once the reconsideration process is over, which we anticipate being late April, early May, the reimbursement process will kick in. We want to wait until we see if any of those publishers who submitted for reconsideration get put on the approved list. And we are working diligently with our school finance team to determine an equitable, not only financial, but geographic distribution of the reimbursement. It's not an easy formula to come up with, so we are working on that and should have that in the next 30 to 45 days to figure out how that reimbursement's going to work. Moving on to the READ Act approved training for educators, we are knee-deep in getting folks aware of and getting the needed information from districts in order to register for the training. The 3 approved trainings are letters, core, and carry-all. So the registration process, go ahead. The registration process begun February 1. And you can see on this slide that there are 2 phases of teachers. We are prioritizing phase 1 teachers, and you can see that list. And then the phase 2 teachers are more of the instructional support staff, the secondary staff, the 612 curriculum leaders and educators. So for phase 1, the registration process is we are collecting a contact from each district. So each district was asked to send MDE the name of their district who will be managing, facilitating this district-wide training process. Once we receive that name and the contact information, it engages a next email, which is a detailed email on how the district is to register the number of teachers and the selected training. And so MDE needs to collect that information because we're responsible for reporting it. So once we receive that information, we sign off and send that information to the chosen training vendor. And the training vendor will reach out to the district to schedule the training. So we anticipate training. The contracts are close to being executed, I'm hoping within the next week to 10 days. And then we will send that information to the training vendors, and they can start reaching out to districts to schedule. We know scheduling is important to the districts and has been a bit challenging to the districts, so it's important that they work with the vendors as soon as they can to get on their training, professional development training calendar. A huge piece of the work in supporting districts will be through our REDAC regional literacy networks. So we have been working weekly since the REDAC passed with our partners at the Minnesota Service Cooperatives, and we are establishing a regional literacy network in each of the service cooperatives. Each of those regional literacy networks will have a literacy lead, and depending on the number of districts in their region, anywhere from 2 to 6 coaches. And those literacy leads and coaches are going to be very highly qualified literacy experts who will be supporting districts in their implementation of the various REDAC requirements, helping them write their local literacy plans, helping with the data submission, meeting regularly with district and site-based leadership teams, and providing guidance to districts on the selection and implementation of the evidence-based curriculum and supporting materials, and basically support REDAC implementation as well as evaluation efforts. We are working closely with CARI as well, and they will be developing a coaching framework for those literacy leads, literacy coaches, as well as with our district literacy leads. The training will be evidence-based literacy lead training that trains literacy coaches, specialists to support school efforts in screening, measuring growth, monitoring progress, and implementing instruction and interventions. The coaching framework will be integrated with the work we are also doing in districts around the Minnesota multi-tiered systems of support framework. So it won't be 2 separate coaching frameworks. It'll be one in support of the overall framework of multi-tiered systems of support. And with that, Madam Chair and committee members, is what we have for you today on the READ Act.
Thank you really, really, really so much for all the work and obvious deep organization of getting this implemented. We know how important it is that we address these literacy issues right off the bat, and I'm just really impressed with how you have been able to organize this. I did have a couple questions, and then I'll let anybody else ask the questions. When it comes time for the training for our educators, and you said they have a choice of letters, core, or carry-all, can you give me an approximate number, or how much it might cost approximately per teacher to get them trained from the very beginning to the end, and how many hours that might take? Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That's a great question. So it varies among the 3 training vendors, and I'm going to look to Kim to help me here. Core is 40 to 45 hours, and the cost is, I think, between $500 and $600 per participant. And do you want to speak to carry-all? And
Sure. So carry-all is a product coming out of the university. It is approximately 58 hours, which includes both asynchronous time and then live synchronous debriefs. Core has synchronous debriefs as well, fewer, but they have some. Letters is around 120 hours of instruction, asynchronous, including synchronous debriefs. Carry-all is $500 a teacher. Letters is, do you know the exact, 1,500?
it's about 1,200.
1,200?
And so would school districts then be able to spread this out over, is it usually like a 12-month program, or what length of time might we expect?
Madam Chair, the core and carry-all I believe, is a 12-month implementation period, whereas letters is more of a 2-year. Now, we also recognize that there is a July 2025 deadline for Phase 1 teachers, but the legislation also gives the commissioner the ability to grant extensions. So we know those districts who will be choosing Lexian letters will need that extension.
Great, thank you. Oh, and go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that carry-all, we do have some flexibility. We have some districts that are receiving a grant, and they're going to start in April, and they'll be done by early September. So it's really, we're trying to be flexible with the school districts. I know it's hard to find professional development days, so we can spread it out over a year. But we can also, I mean, we've had some people that want to be done with it in a week, and that's not possible.
Okay.
But we're just trying to offer some flexible options.
Great. Flexibility, I think, is one of the best things. One other question I have here is under the professional development on page 24. You have grades pre-K 5 instructional support staff who provide reading support. Does that, are you talking about like educational assistants and paras? Is that who you were referring to? Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That is a really good question, and one that we are seeking clarification on in the next round of READ Act revisions this session. We realize that instructional support staff is broadly defined, and that paras more than likely shouldn't be required to take the 45 to 120-hour training. So we are working with the bill authors to come up with an alternative training option for paras and instructional support staff for those younger learners.
Thank you. I think that part is really super important, you know, having worked in the schools where our educational assistants and paras and support oftentimes are the ones that are listening to the lesson and then working with that child one-on-one or two, you know, 1 to 2, whatever it is. They definitely need that instruction. And so I would strongly suggest that our school districts include paras in these trainings as we go forward so that we know that they're all getting the services that they need. And then just my one last question, on page 26, around the regional literacy network, the 9 service cooperatives and the regional literacy networks. So those folks that are doing that, that isn't a cost to our school districts, is it? Is that absorbed in MDE, and so that would not be one of those expenses that schools would expect?
That is correct, Madam Chair.
Okay.
These are READ Act funds that are establishing and staffing the regional literacy networks.
Great, thank you so much. Now we're going to move to member questions, and actually Senator Rarick. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Assistant Commissioner, I've had a number of conversations specifically with principals, and you know they're very appreciative of their teachers being able to get this training. Some of their concern is you know the amount of time that they have, and how. But for me, and I think it was shared by them, the biggest concern, and coming from the Higher Education Committee as well, is what is the department's role in making sure that our new teachers that are going through higher education right now are going to be getting this training at that level so that we do not have to continue down this road because our principals are really concerned right now. You know, we're looking at a number of teachers all within one school. They can go through this together, which helps the school. You know, they work with each other, but all of a sudden they're going to have 1 or 2 offs down the line, and that's what they're really hoping to avoid. So what's the department's role in making sure that on the higher education end, our new teachers are already going to have this training and we're going to see an end to this?
Assistant Commissioner.
Madam Chair, Senator Rarick, that is a great question. And currently, MDE's role is partnering with PELSB to ensure that those institutions of higher ed who are offering teacher education programs so currently all of those institutions are going through an audit process, so we are partnering with Pelsby to audit those programs in literacy instruction to see how well they meet the requirements of structured literacy in science and reading. What is imperative is institutions of higher ed need to be held accountable to ensuring that those teacher candidates coming out have the training coming out of college so that the state doesn't have to retrain, 20 to 25,000 teachers. So I believe the bill authors in READ Act 2.0 are working to address that exact need. Because I'm hearing from superintendents that they are looking at where a teacher candidate goes to college to see if they come out of college with that structured literacy training. So it's going to start impacting hiring and employment. So the more we can partner with the institutions of higher ed to ensure that they are offering coursework based on the structure of literacy, the better we will all be. And there are several institutions that are doing a great job. We just need to be consistent across all institutions who are offering teacher education programs. Kim, would you have anything to add?
No, I agree.
Okay.
Follow-up, Senator?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And no, I appreciate that response. That's something, as my last couple of years on higher ed, we've been talking about that very thing. We're supposed to be offering that training in our higher education realm, and been asking that question, why hasn't it been there? So appreciate that. And another different question, Madam Chair. Back on the page that had the list of the look-fors versus the red flags, the second one on each one was the exact same thing. Can you explain a little better where it said you're looking for 1 or 0 at each grade level? It's the same wording, so can you explain what that means, why it's on both?
Director Gibbons.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, good question. It's the inverse. So you want to see on the look-fors, you want to see a very high percentage of those look-fors so that the 1 plays into that. On the red flags, you get a 1 if you have a red flag, but we don't want to see that. So we had programs that we looked at, for example, that maybe had 40% of the look-fors, but 75% of the red flags. So it's the inverse. 1 is good on 1 and not good on the other.
Follow-up?
Thank you, Madam Chair. No, I appreciate that. I didn't quite get that understanding in your first explanation, so I appreciate that. And just a statement here, the one thing I know you did address the potential conflict of interest. I know there is still concern out there, and it was your group that established the look-fors and the red flags. So even though it was a different group that was analyzing your program, they were still following the guidelines that your group established. So I'm not trying to say that I don't believe your program fits and is going to be a good one, but there is a perceived conflict of interest by a number of groups out there. So. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any response?
Yes, I'm aware of that, and Commissioner Burnham and I have been out speaking to superintendents, school boards, secondary principals, elementary principals, and being very transparent with the process. A lot of that was coming up before the lists were released. But I will say that we based our rubric on other existing rubrics that are used across the United States. The Reading League is an example of one. And we have evidence from the research for both the look-fors and the red flags. So on the last page of the rubric, and happy to share that with you, lists the actual research, the evidence of where those look-fors came from and red flags.
Thank you. Follow-up, Senator? Okay. Senator May Quaid, and I think we need to give Senator May Quaid an excellent thank you for all of the work. I know you put hours and hours into this bill last year, and the review of it and the follow-up that you're going to be presenting to us. So thank you very much. And your question, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I want to thank the department and Carrie for, this has been an immense workload to implement this, and I know it has been arduous and great, but I know it's been a lot of work. So I want to thank you for hitting all the deadlines, for being really transparent about the process, bringing up things that were coming up as it was happening. When I was visiting schools and I would get asked a question, I'd be like, I have an answer for that. So that's very, very helpful, and I appreciate that. One thing that I just want to note, and I want to say this because I think there could be districts that are looking at the list and thinking, well, I thought we did a really good job picking our curriculum. I thought it was structured literacy. And just seeing how short the list is, and how many red flags were on, some of the ones that we thought were the best, even probably you, when you were reviewing it, you were like, oh, I didn't even know, is that really this is we need to talk to publishers. We need publishers to bring in really robust curriculum into the state, and I think that this review work that we've done here is going to be useful to other states as well. So I just want to name that. The other thing that I want to say is, one, we can adjust the dates for the training so you don't have to grant extensions, and that's something we've been talking about. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, Assistant Commissioner, but didn't we change in the licensing criteria for teachers, the preparatory program had to include structured literacy, so it was kind of our E12 ed fix for higher ed. It was like the one thing we could do in our bill. That was in our final bill, yes?
Assistant Commissioner?
Madam Chair, Senator May Quaid, for 2.0 or for?
Number one.
I'd have to go
Okay, me too.
confirm. That's the one part of the bill I don't have memorized.
That's
We will we'll look for that. Thank you.
And then, Madam Chair, the last thing I wanted to just say is that for this committee and then for folks listening to, one of the things that we did a good job of is prioritizing which staff need to have training first. What we didn't do is articulate that educators who already are trained in structured literacy, who already went through letters or just came out of college and did structured literacy. There's a teacher in my district who just moved here and only worked with structured literacy everywhere she taught before that, that they don't need to be going through this training right away. We want to prioritize folks who learned in balanced literacy or have been teaching that way for a really long time. And so that will also be coming in our 2.0 as clarification on just the prioritization within the prioritization.
Assistant Commissioner.
Madam Chair, yes, and even in our current registration process, there is a form to fill out for a waiver. So if you do have teachers who have already completed or move in, as Senator May Quaid mentioned, there is a process established for that already.
Well, that's very helpful because then we do know how many have that training and are all set to go. So thank you. Next on my list is Senator Swedzinski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is great, so thank you for everybody, especially Senator May Quaid that's been working on this. And I've been following this intently. I've had to step away a couple times, so I apologize if this came up, but I don't think it has. And I'm equating this with like all the work that went in for the preparation of landing at Normandy. And all that this noble goal of liberating Europe, I equate this work on the READ Act to. And, but now I want to know, and I don't think this has come up, what's going to happen when we land at Normandy? What's the classroom going to look like? I don't know. I mean, I'm a third grade teacher. I'm a first grade teacher. I've got kids that read 2 and 3 levels above grade level. I've got kids out of 30 that are 2 or 3 grades below grade level. What will that third grade or second grade teacher's life look like when it comes time for reading instruction? Could someone explain that to me, or have we not got there yet?
Who would like, okay, Director Gibbons, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I'm happy to answer this question because it's a good question, and I've had the fortunate experience in my career. I'm in my 28th year of education, but I have worked with districts. I spent 20 years working at the St. Croix River Education District here in Minnesota and led that group of school districts in some pretty comprehensive literacy reform efforts. And what it looks like for a teacher at the end of the day is that, we start with having some data that teachers can look at where students are screened 3 times a year. And that data, which predicts really well to our MCAs in Minnesota, helps us figure out who are the kids that are exceeding our expectations, who are the kids that are meeting, who are the kids that are below and need more help. If I'm a teacher and I start with that assessment, I then, look at the curriculum materials. And so ideally, we'll have teachers using curricula that are highly aligned to structured literacy and teaching kids both the foundation skills that they need in K through 2, but as important, the language comprehension skills that they need in 3rd grade and above. We also know that probably there will be several districts that will continue using some programs that aren't on the list. And we are coming out this week or the next week with companion reports. So if a district is using a curriculum that did not make the list, that teachers and educators will know why. And they can look and see, here's all the things that they found that were good. Let's keep doing those. Maybe we need to add in a few. But then to equally be aware of some of those red flags so that they can know what not to do. Ideally, we're going to have coaches. We're having the regional literacy networks. Districts already have instructional coaches. And we know from research that it's very important because just going through letters or one of the 3 training programs alone doesn't guarantee that a teacher could actually implement those in practice without support. So there will be supports for that. There will be progress monitoring in place for kids that have not yet met our expectations so that we can figure out sooner rather than later if a program or a practice isn't working. We'll have teachers collaborating in teams to really improve instruction. And I think that probably the most thing that I should have started with is that we know across Minnesota we have one of the largest opportunity gaps in the country between Black students and white students. So we did look at culturally responsive practices, and none of the programs are perfect, but this is going to have to be an opportunity for local districts to look at the communities that they serve and really dig in and look at these curriculum to find out if they are representative. The stories that kids are reading from are representative of the communities that they serve. So when Commissioner Burnham put in all of the different policy levers that will have an impact on student achievement, we're hitting all of those. We're hitting professional learning, curriculum, instruction, interventions, assessments. And in my work here in Minnesota, and I'm also working with 50 schools across the country on American Institute for Research study, and we are actually implementing all of the things in the READ Act, and we're seeing some really phenomenal results with kids in terms of the growth that they're making throughout the year, as well as continuing on in their school trajectories. I hope that answered your question.
Thank you so much. We're going to move on to Senator Farnsworth.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, testifiers. And I want to say most of what I hear in my districts back home are excitement about returning to actually teaching reading the way that we taught it up until about 20 years ago. And then they decided to start doing the stupid whole word stuff that really resilient kids can still learn how to read that way, but a lot of kids that struggle don't. So there's a lot of excitement about that. And so I don't want my questions to be perceived as questioning this program, because I think it's a good program. But the big concern that most of my districts have brought to me is the cost of training. And I see on page 25 In big bold letters, it says, "District and charter schools will not pay for READ Act training when participating in this process." I'm wondering what specifically MDE is going to pay for in regards to training.
Assistant Commissioner.
Madam Chair, thank you. Good question, Senator Farnsworth. The READ Act funds pays for the training itself. So the cost of the facilitation, the cost of materials, the cost of the asynchronous and synchronous sessions. Currently, what the READ Act does not pay for is any time outside of the contract day that districts may have to pay teachers for their time to take the training.
Follow-up?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And you read my mind. You knew what I was getting at. One of my districts is expecting to pay, I believe, about $170,000 for that extra time because the training, depending on which program they use, is between 60 and 144 hours of training that they have to provide. And so I would hope that that's something that we could address, whether it would be through adjusting timelines. And actually, I heard Senator May Quaid say that we can adjust the dates for training, or I hope that that's what I heard, but that kind of leads to my next question. Is there an exemption, or maybe not an exemption, but something that would allow districts to provide the training over a longer period of time in order to save money so they could do it during regular teacher in-service days, or is there some mechanism that would allow the training maybe to be a little slower? I know we want to do this and we want to do it quickly, but we also don't want to have teachers, schools cutting teaching staff in order to pay for the training.
Assistant Commissioner.
Madam Chair, thank you. So the current legislation does provide the flexibility to offer extensions. And I know that in the 2.0 version that's being worked on right now, it's looking at addressing that compensation piece. We know that we're hearing districts are doing it differently across the state. Most of what I'm hearing is they're building it into their professional development calendar, and that's where we've gotten the same question you just asked. Is there an option for flexibility in extending the deadline? And the current statute allows that flexibility. So we also are encouraging districts to look at how they're using their literacy incentive aid. And the current READ Act requires them to use it for comprehensive literacy reform efforts, and that would be paying for teachers to take this training if it has to be done outside the contract day.
Follow-up, Senator?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to add one thing. Thank you for those answers, and I hope that we can continue to work on flexibility. I've been rapidly texting curriculum directors and administrators in my district, and I just want to tell you that they speak very highly of you. So just want to give you a public compliment that they're like, oh, we love working with them. They're great. So because they're watching online.
Nice to end with that positive note. Thank you, Senator. Last we have Senator Umar Verbaden, and then we're going to move along. We have maybe an hour left.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you so much for being here. I also want to thank Senator May Quaid for all her work on the READ Act. I know that there's a time period for the reimbursements, including for those districts that may have started this earlier. One of the districts that I represent is Roseville Area Schools that's been a leader and started a lot of this training, and so they're of course concerned and don't want to be penalized for starting this work early. They've spent about $1.3 million already on those qualifying purchases. And in the legislation, it talks about the reimbursement form just being in a form and manner determined by the commissioner. So could you provide a little bit more information about that? Of course, I'm interested in seeing my district get fully reimbursed. I'm sure others are as well. Just what they can expect in that application and sort of what you will be judging on other than you spent money on the correct, materials. Are there other things you're going to be looking at in terms of like when they decided to start that curriculum? Thank you.
Assistant Commissioner.
Madam Chair, thank you. That's a great question. And yes, Roseville's doing phenomenal work in literacy. So the current statute states that from 2021 on if a district is using an approved curriculum, they are eligible for reimbursement. As I mentioned earlier, we are currently working with our school finance division on a formula to determine an equitable financial and geographic distribution process. More than likely, districts will not be fully reimbursed. There's just not enough money to go around. And if you look at the list and just looking at the number of districts who are currently using something else that's on the list, we need to give districts an opportunity to go through a selection process that's informed by research and by this list. So one of the other things we're looking at is allocating a certain amount of that curriculum reimbursement funds per year, so people don't feel rushed to have to make a choice like in the next 6 months in order to get reimbursement. So we're really trying to be intentional and thoughtful about this reimbursement process. But I do believe that those districts, such as Roseville, who are using something off that improved list, will be reimbursed to a certain degree. And we will have that reimbursement process out in early May, once the reconsideration process is over.
Thank you, Commissioner, Assistant Commissioner. Follow-up?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Just one quick question, and I want to say I really appreciate you talking about figuring out an equitable way to distribute those funds. Could you say a little bit more about what you think some of that criteria may be to determine what's equitable to distribute amongst districts across our state?
Well, I don't have the details because I have a staff member working on that particular project, but number of students, size of district, because, you know, in theory, metro area districts could take up all of those reimbursement funds. So it's really looking at phasing in the reimbursement process, allocating money each year, and just really looking at, again, geographic equity, so the money doesn't all get used in the metro area versus greater Minnesota. And it more than likely will be a per pupil set amount, but I don't know that. We, as in Kathy is sitting back there probably wondering what I'm going to say next, because we don't have those details quite yet. But I appreciate the question.
We'll keep you posted.
Yes.
And I do think that your school district is an exemplar district, so appreciate the work that they've done already. All right, then Senator Kroon, and then we have to move on.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Obviously, I support the READ Act. I think a lot of the schools in my district are already doing it. And so I can say there's a lot of consternation out there, at least in my district. In preparing for this, I came up with 3 or 4 questions myself, and I just threw out an email last night to superintendents and a couple other people I know in education. Do you have any questions you'd like me to ask? I got well over 30 in response. So that gives you some idea the uncertainty that's out there right now. And I know we don't have time right now to go through all of those things, and some of them have already been asked and answered. But I do think they would be important to, I don't know when the 2.0 bill is going to be ready, but if it's not soon to, but to maybe put this back on an agenda, because there's a lot of questions out there, a lot of consternation. The problem in my district, as I see it, is I have school districts that have been doing this work for some time, some longer than others. But all of them have gone through an extensive review, curriculum review process with very capable people that have very good credentials. They all, they've invested significant resources, both time and money, training their teachers on this. Some of my districts even have personalized learning plans for their teachers for this training. And so this is going to upend a lot of the good work that my districts are already doing. And there's a financial consideration to it. We've touched on that. Even if the curriculum they've chosen is on the list, there's only $35 million allocated for reimbursement, which we all know is not even going to be anywhere near enough. And then that's not to mention those that have chosen a different curriculum now that's not on the list and that are going through the appeals process. There's a time consideration. We've touched on that with the training. In my view, too, there's also an aspect we haven't touched on, which is that a lot of the way this was structured it does take away local control. You know, some of my districts, like I said, have invested a lot in this. They're going to have to change. The teachers have just been invested and they've been trained on a certain curriculum. There hasn't been enough time yet to see those results. And now we're going to have to turn around, potentially if the appeals process are denied, and start over from scratch. And there's a credibility issue too for these school districts that have done this work and have to start over. I wonder if this couldn't have been done a different way. I know what the statute says, but I also know that you all were probably involved in the drafting of the statute. Rather than have specific curriculum that Carrie essentially is selecting in consultation with MDE, maybe we could have done something different, you know, with required criteria. Says this is what we expect your curriculum to have and this is what we expect it to not have. And that also gives other vendors out there the opportunity to be used in Minnesota, to adapt and make changes. I don't know how that's going to work out. We have a list. There's an appeals process. Maybe a few more get added to that list. But then what? Is it just static? What about all the other companies? What about the innovation? Are they forever shut out? These are all questions that I have. I don't think this was, it's a well-meaning act. I support the intent of it. I think it, in hindsight, could have been done different. But I'm going to focus my question initially on some of the training issues. And I just want to make sure I'm understanding it correctly, because I'm not sure I am, but, you know, through the statute, I think you were allowed to, or you were required to pick at least 3, and you chose 3 training service providers, and we've talked about those letters, core and carry-all. But what I'm not certain on is, do the school districts have to sign up for that training through MDE, or can they contract with those companies independently?
Assistant Commissioner.
Madam Chair, well, if they want the training paid for, they have to go through MDE. Because if they go directly to the vendor, then that's out of the processes we have set up. Now, we know that some districts maybe didn't completely understand the process, and I have a set of districts in my email list right now that did that, contracted directly after the READ Act passed, so we're trying to work out a solution for those districts.
Thank you so much. You know, Senator, change is hard. Change is hard in a lot of people. And when we look at some of these things that we're trying to do when it comes to literacy, and especially when we talk about local control kind of got us into this bind. When every school district is able to choose whatever reading or whatever curriculum they want, which is really great, they often are not choosing ones, as we see, where it is not, you know, it's a different reading program, it's sight word, it's, you know, memorization. And so what we're trying to do is bring it back to the basics, and that's really what we're doing. This is the first, you know, we just started this, so a lot of the answers to your questions are going to be evolving. We already have a part 2 that is going to address a lot of these issues. And so I think we have to let it go through the process and work out all of the kinks. And it sounds to me like these folks are working really hard on addressing those issues. And when school districts have those questions or issues, that they are really open to listening, learning from it, and then finding ways to accommodate them. So do you have another question, or can we go on?
Madam Chair, I have several more questions.
Okay, go ahead. Assistant Commissioner.
Madam Chair, I would love it if you would send me your list of questions, and we could make sure that they are, one, either have been addressed in our FAQ or will be addressed. So I know we're under a time crunch, but I want to hear what those questions are so we can address them and get you the information you need.
I think that's a good plan. Senator Kroon, we're going to move on. You can send us all those questions that you have. We will be having a whole committee hearing on Read Point 2, and so perhaps at that time we will have those answers. So next up, thank you so much for your time and your energy. Director Harstad, Office of American Indian Education. And if you would state your name for the records, and you may begin.
Good morning. I am Jane Harstead. I have the privilege of working as the Director of American Indian Education at MDE.
Thank you so much.
The Office of American Indian Education is small, but we have a lot of work to do with you, with tribal nations, with MDE as a whole, with district administration, as well as parents of American Indian students. All of our work is to assist in closing the achievement gap for American Indian students. We would not be able to assist students without your help. Thank you for passing the legislation aimed at making Minnesota the best place to live and to thrive within our system of education. Minnesota is entering a new era of American Indian education, where the OAIE, or the Office of American Indian Education, is thoughtfully pushing high standards for American Indian education across the state. The guidance and programming work that we do encompasses many areas, including the Ethel Curry Scholarship, working with American Indian Parent Advisory Committees, empowering them and training them, the Minnesota Indian Teacher Training Program, tribal consultation, government to government, tribal consultation under ESSA, and Indigenous Education for All. To provide these programs, we continually consult tribal nations, urban indigenous entities, and the Tribal Nations Education Committee while providing technical guidance and professional development. We promote legislation, serve as a bridge to specific resources, promote best practices for American Indian learners, and build cross-division collaborations on discipline, attendance, behavior, graduation, credit accrual, alternative learning centers, career and technical education, special education, and more. Our office reports directly to the Commissioner, and as Director, I sit on his cabinet as well. We are in the process of hiring to be able to have a stronger positive impact on American Indian students with more staff. We have nearly 30,000 American Indian students in Minnesota, and the work in this implementation update will demonstrate our commitment to benefit all Minnesotans through the programs and guidance we continuously prepare for our constituents. There are 178 regular districts and charter schools that receive funding through our office to provide programming to American Indian students in support of what districts already do to meet the needs of their student populations. We also work closely with our 4 tribal contract schools, although approximately 93% of our students attend public schools in the state. Our mission is to inform, include, and inspire districts and schools to know where they're at, to include Indian education staff, families, and students in what programming is available, and to inspire them to provide the policies and processes with which to have the most positive impacts on Minnesota. For the implementation of legislation, the Office of American Indian Education has created guidance and provided feedback to districts, schools, and parents of American Indian students. American Indian Education aid has nearly doubled this year. The Office of American Indian Education continues to see districts and schools that are creative in their programming and that address both the cultural and academic needs of American Indian students. American Indian students have a 31.4% gap in math, a 26.3 percentage point gap in reading, and a 25.3% gap in science compared to their white peers. This achievement gap will continue to close as long as the Office of American Indian Education, along with MDE, has the resources to provide the information and guidance necessary to assist districts and schools throughout the state. We have high standards for district and school Indian education programming and will continue to promote best practices for American Indian students to reach their full potential within their school communities through meaningful, equitable, and targeted educational experiences that affirms and values their unique cultural identities. Related to and interwoven to the American Indian Education Aid is the legislation passed last year that will provide positive benefits not only to American Indian students, but to the whole of Minnesota. This year, districts with 100 or more American Indian students are required to have a dedicated and defined coordinator of the crucial Indian education programs they conduct. We have 67 districts or schools in which the coordinator should be concentrating on American Indian educational programming. Next year, the number of districts and schools with this requirement will increase to 74. It became clear through past year's documents that sometimes American Indian Parent Advisory Committees, what we commonly call APACs, had been regularly and mainly comprised of district and school staff, with a smaller number of parents of students eligible for the programming. This year, we have provided guidance documents that show the parent committees are comprised of a majority of parents who provide critical input and feedback on their student needs. Additionally, we have a document that ensures that the district is sharing important and timely information with those who understand that moving the needle in a positive direction for their students is the goal. This documentation is part of the process of the yearly compliance in which the American Indian Parent Advisory Committee collects information and takes a vote on whether or not the district is making acceptable progress towards its goals stated on their program plan. This is currently in progress as the compliance documentation is due on March 1st. The Office of American Indian Education will collect information on the process at the annual Minnesota Indian Education Association Conference in April. The culture and language class requirement is a legislative requirement for districts and schools that have 100 or more American Indian students, or 5% of their student enrollment is American Indian. Currently, there are 100 districts or schools for which this class is a requirement. Approximately 30% of those districts currently offer language and culture classes and are now aware of this requirement. The Office of American Indian Education will continue to provide guidance to the districts striving to meet this requirement through computer applications, curricular resources, and online language teachers and classes. We have many districts in progress on this requirement. When it was passed last year, district and school calendars had already been finalized. We acknowledge the difficulty districts and schools have had with changing schedules to include this. So many of our districts are currently providing after-school language and culture classes through language tables for students and their families, as well as online learning. The requirement is progressing towards implementation, and with assistance through language revitalization grants, the process will be much easier for districts and schools. The Office of American Indian Education has worked with the Tribal Nations Education Committee to present a request for information document that provided us with several important data points that have informed both the process and the progress of this grant program. We are pleased to announce that the full grant application should be available to all districts and schools within Minnesota on March 1st. Minnesota has adopted required standards that include the contributions of the tribal nations and communities within Minnesota. Tribal nations representatives sit on the Standards Review Committee at each cycle. We know that many of today's educators learn very little to nothing about Dakota or Anishinaabe people in Minnesota. Many of us had to attend a post-secondary institution to learn that information, although college classes on American Indian historic and contemporary issues are still undertaught in many colleges today. Therefore, educators are hesitant to teach about a subject they know very little about. In many cases, teachers want to be sensitive to a different culture and are thus hesitant to teach the information they themselves know little about. They tell us they want to be able to do it right. In order to break this cycle of ignorance, we must provide professional development to teachers required to follow this legislation. Currently, we are asking tribal nations for what they would like every student in Minnesota to know about them. This information will then be aligned to the required standards and the curricular resources and professional development that will be available in the next year. The Office of American Indian Education, in collaboration with the Academic Standards Instructions and Assessment Division, created the needs assessment and subsequent report, which was sent to the legislature earlier this month. As our office analyzed the data from over 3,800 responses, the results were very clear. The respondents asked for more funding, curricular resources, and professional development on how to teach the resources that will be developed by tribal nations and curriculum writers. Indigenous education for all is not a one-time program. This is new material that will be included in classrooms across Minnesota. It is required that districts teach the standards, and they need assistance from tribes and Indian educators to do so. We hope to bring you many awesome updates as this work progresses and is implemented to benefit all Minnesotans. MDE has created an online class for those educators seeking to renew their teaching license. It is small, but it is a significant stride in our teachers understanding more about the tribal nations and the communities in Minnesota. MDE plans to continue building this information based on tribal state relations training offered to state employees. Planning and building the classes and providing for an in-person experience is currently in progress. This year, funding for American Indian education programs is limited to supporting American Indian students only, unless their accountability factors meet or exceed their non-native peers. MDE sent this information to superintendents several times, and the Office of American Indian Education has been working tirelessly to ensure districts understand the requirements, as well as the different ways we are moving towards full implementation of this legislation. As for sacred tobacco in schools, thank you again for this legislation. This was disseminated to superintendents and schools this last spring and throughout the summer. This and all other legislation passed is also provided on our website, and we have had no incidents this year as of today, and will address any incidents with information as we move forward. Graduation regalia. This is one of the smaller, yet most significant changes to occur. Thank you for the ability of American Indian students to be able to wear items of cultural significance at graduation ceremonies. It means so much to our students and their families that they do not need to cover up or hide their culture at such a notable ceremony. The passage of this legislation was very timely, as we sent letters to all districts immediately last spring as we neared the graduation ceremony time. We will send out a letter to districts on March 15th to reiterate the legislation. As this becomes normalized, the letter will no longer be necessary. Indigenous Peoples Day this past October had mixed results for the teaching of at least 1 hour to provide lessons about or professional development on a variety of topics. We had districts who did a well-rounded day of programming. We had some districts that still taught about the person they thought discovered America. And we had a district that had students who accosted American Indian presenters. We understand that change is difficult. We understand that educators and districts need more assistance on this day. The Office of American Indian Education compiled a list of resources on our website for teaching about Indigenous peoples. We are continuing to expand further guidance and specific lessons that can be used at all grade levels for this year's celebration of Indigenous Peoples Day. Our working group will have more resources available on our website and out to districts on June 1st. With that, I thank you for your time today, Madam Chair and committee members.
Wopila and Chi-Miigwech for all that information and all the work that you've done, and for hanging in there with the Department of Indian Ed for all these years, really advocating and working hard to ensure that those resources and the programs that really are going to make a difference for our kids is going to make a difference. So are there any questions? Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. All right, next we have Deputy Commissioner Stephanie Graff. You can go ahead and state your name for the record and begin.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, thank you for having us today. My name is Stephanie Graff, Deputy Commissioner at the Minnesota Department of Education. I'm here today actually on behalf of Dr. Makari Trainum, an Assistant Commissioner at MDE, who leads our Office of Equity and Engagement and much of our comprehensive school mental health work as well. I did just want to say I know we're tight on time, and actually my colleague, Ms. Erickson, our school finance director, who is following me today, will actually piggyback on a portion that I'm going to talk about with school support personnel aid. And so I'm going to try and go as fast as possible, knowing that she'll have a critical sort of component of our mental health work to share as well.
And just so everybody knows, I know we might be behind, so we'd like to move through these, so we do have some questions at the end. If we do have a little bit of extra time, we might be able to stay.
Great. Thank you, Madam Chair. It is important to address the well-being of staff when we're talking about student mental health. Educator well-being overlaps and impacts all aspects of the school experience for both students and staff. The 2022 Minnesota Principals Survey found the area in which principals would benefit most from additional professional development was reducing staff burnout, and tasks of least confidence included addressing staff mental health. I say that because it's important to say that the mental health of our educators impacts the mental health of our students. So now I'd like to shift to the data on the slide regarding the mental health of students in Minnesota. According to the 2022, which is our latest Minnesota student survey across the state, students reported greater struggles with mental health, such as depression and anxiety, than at any time in the survey's history. Students of color reported higher rates of self-harm and suicidality relative to their peers, and students who identify as LGBTQ were over 3 times as likely to report mental health concerns as students who do not identify as LGBTQ. As you can see from the graph, there has been a steady increase in the number of students reporting self-harm and suicidality. These sobering statistics illuminate the tremendous need for a comprehensive school mental health systems framework in the state of Minnesota. Next slide. There's a strong body of research showing the benefits of school mental health. You can see some of the research on the slide in front of you. Some of these improvements include social and self-awareness, decision-making capacity and relationship skills, better academic outcomes, fewer special education referrals and decreased need for restrictive placements, fewer disciplinary actions, and increased student engagement and feelings of connectedness to school. You can see on the side some of the key components of a comprehensive school mental health system, from well-trained educators and specialized instructional support personnel to family, school, community collaboration, strong needs assessments and resource mapping, all embedded with a multi-tiered systems of support, mental health screening, emerging and evidence-based best practices, using data and having funding, and not just funding, but considering the sustainability of the funding and those resources as well. I can move on. The Minnesota Comprehensive School Mental Health Systems Framework is actually at MDE strategically aligned to the mission, vision, and beliefs of the EDI Center, our Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Center. The housing of the mental health framework in the EDI Center to center equity in our mental health work is the first of its kind in the nation for both this type of alignment and commitment for a Department of Education. Next slide. As we look at the 2023 legislative session, several health-related provisions, of course, were passed. Included are the state mental health lead position at MDE, the school nurse consultant position at MDE, the student support personnel workforce pipeline grant, a student support personnel position, as well as suicide prevention information on student ID cards. Next slide. Oh, wait, sorry, go back for a second. Thanks, Adosh. Adosh knew, thank you. MDE's mental health lead, Brianne LaHaye, will serve as the main source of mental health information and support for schools. The school nurse consultant at MDE, Leah Bancroft, will provide technical assistance and support to schools for education-related health needs of students. The Student Support Personnel Workforce Pipeline Grant to institutes of higher education is beginning in April and will focus on increasing school psychologists, nurses, counselors, social workers of color, and Indigenous providers through professional respecialization, recruitment, and retention. The student support personnel position at MDE closed on Friday, February 9th, and will be in place to support this pipeline grant and providing professional development, guidance, and technical assistance. Last, the suicide prevention information on student ID cards went into place July 1 of 2023. This requires ID cards to have suicide prevention, also in planners for students in grades 6 to 12, and this is taking place as a result of a partnership between the Department of Education and the Minnesota Department of Health. All right, next slide. Here on this side, you can see the creation of a comprehensive school mental health systems framework to support the needs of learners, students, educators, families, and community. The framework is led by our mental health lead and includes 6 positions that are interconnected, each responsible for a part of the mental health system we are building. We're taking a systemic approach. This is not just a one and done, but a program founded on the principles of equity and comprehensive school mental health. All the positions will report their outcomes to the mental health lead. This will help to build and align state resources and partners in a comprehensive system. The mental health lead will serve as a source of information and support for schools, will provide, like I said, professional development, technical assistance, guidance, and resources to advance school mental health programs. You can see again the student support personnel position, which will coordinate the work of our pipeline grant and focus on the recruitment and retention of our Black, Indigenous, and people of color students in the workforce pipeline. This position will provide ongoing professional development and support to staff working in roles that support students in their mental health. The statewide student school nurse consultant, also funded out of the 2023 legislative session, will focus on the role of school nurses in the comprehensive school mental health systems framework, and because around 30% of school nurse services are mental health related in schools. We have a crisis management team that will carry out the Safe and Supportive Minnesota Schools Act by addressing bullying, harassment, and intimidation, as well as provide guidance and professional development related to prevention, intervention, and postvention of mental health-related crises. The health and youth development position will focus on health equity and culturally responsive health and wellness by incorporating the comprehensive school mental health systems framework in the whole school, whole community, and whole child model. And lastly, we have 2 Project Aware grants focusing on intensive efforts within 6 districts in Minnesota to advance their comprehensive school mental health systems. Next slide. Again, the AID program for student support personnel is what Ms. Erickson will cover when she has an opportunity to share. But just sort of to ground us, as we know, student support personnel are the vital link between the home, school, and community and provide services to support students' academic, social, emotional, behavior, and mental health success. They work with school administrators, teachers, students, and families, and provide leadership in forming school policies, mental health intervention, support services, academic success plans, and crisis management. As we think about schools across the state, what we know is that there is a lack of student support personnel to provide that early intervention. Workforce shortage challenges prevent schools from providing crucial mental health services to students in need. The pipeline, defined as the supply of student support personnel in the field, remains a concern. The goals of this grant are to increase the size of the student support personnel pipeline and to increase the rate of graduates who become licensed. It also seeks to support previously licensed professionals seeking specialization to work in the school setting. The most racially and ethnically diverse population in the nation are our children in our schools. Developing a workforce that is reflective of this diversity is essential to effective services and supports. In addition to increasing the workforce, the program is also intentionally designed to increase the number of student support personnel providers who identify, like I said, as Black, Indigenous, and people of color. Again, we're very excited to have 2 new positions beginning at MDE next week, our mental health lead position, as well as our school nurse consultant. Both will begin on February 28th. This slide I'll just leave with you as a resource. It provides just another look into the positions and the work that we have out of our EDI Center to support student mental health. And I already mentioned, as a couple policy pieces here, schools now must print suicide prevention information, including the National Crisis Lifeline number on all student IDs and in planners for students in grades 6 through 12. Again, this is a partnership with MDH, and MDE is currently engaging also with our youth, with our students, to inform our guidance at the state on the language that should be used on ID cards as well as in planners. We also have, as a policy requirement out of last legislative session, develop social emotional learning modules for professional learning communities, for administrators or other leaders or instructional coaches to support social and emotional competencies of our educators and students. And with that, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much for going through that very efficiently and that sort of thing. As you go through here, it reminds me of all the great stuff that we did last year, and it reminds me, you brought up the ID cards with that suicide hotline on it. There were a couple of, I don't know if you know this, a couple of college students contacted me, and I think the young woman had, when she was younger, had suicidal tendencies as a high school student, and she got her high school to do that. So she came to Minnesota, she's not from Minnesota, and noticed that, at the college she was going to, that they didn't have that either. And so it's always interesting where these bills, where these ideas, where legislation comes from, and I don't think we quite realize the impact that it has when we do things like that, and take the consideration from everyone, no matter how old or where they're coming from. Are there any questions, anyone? All right, well, thank you ever so much, and we are going to move on to the Director of School Finance, Kathy Erickson. If you'd like to state your name, and you may begin.
Madam Chair, members, my name is Kathy Erickson, and I am the Director of School Finance at the Department of Education. I'm going to first talk about the student support personnel that Deputy Commissioner Graff spoke about and look at the funding side of this. For funding for fiscal year 24, we have a formula that is $11.94 per adjusted pupil unit, or a minimum of $40,000 for districts and $20,000 for charters. A charter school that has less than 1,675 adjusted pupil units will receive the base minimum of $20,000, and districts with over 3,350 or less will receive the base amount of $40,000. Other cooperative units is another portion of the student support personnel aid, and they will receive up to 100% of their member units calculation if they have members that are only at their cooperative. If there's a district that's a member of more than one cooperative unit, that district will decide and divide their amount to all of their member cooperatives. We have 195 districts who are a part of one cooperative out of 308, and then we have several districts who are members of 2, 3, or 4 cooperative units, which would then have to divide their allocation between multiple cooperative units. Next slide, please. Just for reference, the categories in which we can spend the student support personnel aid are school counselors, school social workers, school psychologists, school nurses, and chemical dependency counselors that need to be licensed. Of our allocations, we are projecting for fiscal year '24, the year that we're in right now, that the allocations are approximately $33.6 million, and that would be for 327 school districts, 181 charter schools, and 40 eligible cooperatives. You can see on the slide that we have 264 districts out of 327 who will get the $40,000 minimum, meaning they would have gotten less if they had to use the calculation. And the projected aid for districts will be about $17.6 million. For charter schools, we have 181 eligible charter schools. 178 of those charter schools will receive the minimum $20,000, meaning that almost all districts would have received less had they had to use the $11.94 calculation. We are projecting to distribute $4.7 million in state aid to charter schools. And right now, with the eligible cooperatives, one of the categories in the statute is that a cooperative needs to serve students. So we do have some some cooperatives in the state that do not serve students. So of our 67 eligible cooperatives, 40 will receive some type of revenue. And again, that will be dependent on if they have members, districts who are members of more than one cooperative, how much they'll actually get from those eligible districts. But the overall projected distribution is approximately $12.3 million. The current statute requires that the final aid is the lesser of their estimated entitlement or the allocation or their actual expenditures. So at the end of the fiscal year, June 30th, when we get the final information from districts at November 30th into December and January, we will calculate that difference and make adjustments on their actual aid based on actual expenditures versus their entitlement. So it is the lesser of, and those aid adjustments will happen approximately January 2025. All LEAs are also required to submit an annual report by February following the final aid calculation, so it'd be February of 2025, to show how their new FTE or contracted services paid through this funding impacted at least two of the following criteria that you see on your slide, including school climate, student health, attendance rates, achievement, academic achievement, career and college readiness, and post-secondary completion rates. I'm going to move on to another area of support that we are providing in school finance, which is the unemployment reimbursement aid. This past session in 2023, the legislature allocated $135 million to support the cost of new qualifying summer term workers receiving unemployment benefits. The legislation took effect May 28th, 2023, with staff receiving benefits this past summer. The funds can be used through June 30th, 2027, so that one pot of dollars can be used all the way through 2027 or when the funds are exhausted. The ability of eligible staff to collect summer term unemployment continues even after the funds are exhausted. So the legislation allows for that, even though there may not be funding going into the future. Districts would have to pay for, because districts had to pay for UI costs in November, the process does rely on final data, which will not be known until January of 2025. We did do 2 surveys to our districts and LEAs that were eligible for summer term unemployment. The first was done in October, and this was to time a support payment because their second and third quarter billings would be due in November. And if we waited until the actual calculations were done until January of 2025, some districts may have had cash flow issues related to the payment. So we did receive information related to those survey results in October that approximately $40.1 million was projected to be expended by eligible LEAs, and you can see that we have school districts, charter schools, intermediates, and cooperatives that did submit some information. We did get 99% reply rate on for school districts that accounted for just over $37.5 million. And eligible staff was about 16,375 staff were applied for and received benefits for unemployment, with an overall 483 districts responding and about 17,866 people qualified for the unemployment. You can see here that we just broke down the cost and eligible estimated expenditures, and I do want to note these are not audited. These were just a survey of projected expenditures of what they knew at the time, that we took an average cost per staff based on their total expenditures and what eligible staff by category, and you can see that on average, an employee that was eligible received approximately $1,916 for their summer term unemployment. We did provide you with the 10 largest submissions by cost, by district, and then also on the next slide by charter school, so that you can see those comparisons of the districts who had the highest submission rate and expected expense. I do want to note that districts, because of the fiscal year and how unemployment, there can be May and June of 2024 can also be a part of the 2024 costs that we don't have yet. So again, these are estimates based on what they knew by the end of the third quarter, which would have been September. We did also then do a second survey to provide some information related to the major employment categories. This was then a part of a report to the legislature that came out that showed the differentiation. And as you can see, just over 68% of the staff that applied and received benefits from districts were paraprofessionals. Then you can see food service folks were about 12.4%, transportation, clerical, operations and maintenance, and others rounded up. Our total second survey was 38.6 million versus the 41 you saw the first time. We did have a difference in who submitted on that second survey. And again, this was part of a separate data collection. My last topic that I wanted to speak with you about was the transportation sparsity excess cost change in the legislature. There was a current law that allowed for districts who have more expenditures than their estimated transportation revenues to be able to receive, in current law, 18.2% of that difference as an additional excess cost state aid for transportation, and the legislature increased that to 35%. So again, not all LEAs qualify for this because you have to show more expenditures than your estimated transportation revenues. You can see here that in fiscal year 24, so the year that we're in right now, we had 114 out of 329 districts qualify with that 35% excess cost rate, calculating out to about $9.5 million in excess cost transportation aid. Compared to last year when we were at the 18.2%, we had 78 out of 329 districts eligible, and we dispersed approximately $2.55 million. And that's all I have to report on. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Really appreciate that, Ms. Erickson. Next, we will have the Chief Operating Officer, Patty Hand. And we have 1 minute left in our scheduled time. If you all want to hang out for like the next 5-10 minutes, we'll try to get through the next 2, if that's all right with staff have to get going. Otherwise, do you think we ought to reschedule, or is this okay? Mr. Adosh.
Madam Chair, committee members, again, for the record, my name is Adosh Shuni, Director of Government Relations. I think this portion of the presentation is about 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay.
So not sure how, Chair, you want to handle this, or if you want to reserve time for questions for the presentation, but our team is here ready to present.
All right.
Madam Chair.
Why don't you go ahead then? Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I just wanted
Senator.
to offer my opinion. I have a fair number of questions that I wasn't able to ask to some of the other presenters. My recommendation would be to bring them back so that we can do this and get all of our questions answered. I know we have session in a half hour,
Yeah,
so that's my recommendation.
all right.
And Madam Chair,
Yes,
we have, I have meetings I have to go to right now, so
Okay.
I also have questions, and I'm gonna have to miss whatever's
okay.
happening.
All right, what we will do is this. We are going to hear from these two folks in the next 10 minutes. Those of us that miss it, we can always go back and review that on the video. And then what we'll do is if you want to submit questions that you have for other folks that have presented, we will try to find a time where we can ask them to come back and answer some of your questions, or you're free to send those questions to them personally. So Ms. Hand, if you'd like to go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair, members. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today and to share with you. My name is Patty Hand, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer at the Minnesota Department of Education. I'm here with Patrick Wolfgren, Inspector General at MDE. We'll be providing an oversight about MDE's efforts to strengthen oversight and monitoring. Before we begin, I want to offer Minnesota Department of Education's deep commitment to ensuring that every child receives a quality education across the state of Minnesota. We are committed to excellence. Our goal is to support the success of our students, our educators, our families, and the communities that we serve. We are committed to driving towards solutions. With this, we are working towards continuous improvement. MDE is a learning organization, and we are always looking for ways to improve our processes and training with input from our constituents. We are committed to building a culture of accountability. We have a fiscal responsibility to serve as careful stewards of state resources and follow best practices in our operations as an agency. We are happy to demonstrate our growth and strengthening of our oversight and monitoring and grants management, the creation and development of the Office of the Inspector General, and our collaboration moving forward together as we work to strengthen the monitoring of the funds administered by MDE. MDE's grant programs are a key way we support our students. For context, in fiscal year 22, MDE was appropriated 35 legislatively named grants and 11 competitive grants. At this time, with our legislatively named grants, 64 of our grants were appropriated in fiscal year 24. This is an 83% increase from fiscal year 22. 61 of our official grant awards have been fully executed. The 3 grants that are not completely distributed at this time are Student Organization Grant for Business, the Coalition to Increase Teachers of Color and American Indian Teachers in Minnesota Grant, and the Wheel and Cog Children's Museum Grant. For our competitive grants, 24 competitive grants were appropriated in fiscal year 24. This is a 118% increase from fiscal year 22. 9 requests for proposals are completed, 4 RFPs are posted, 3 RFPs will post this month, and 4 applications are under review. I'm going to focus on our accomplishments, on the things that we have completed at MDE over the past year when it comes to grants management. I will focus on technology, enhanced training, and our updated policies and procedures. Next slide. To begin, I'll explain MEGS. MEGS is the Minnesota Education Grant System, replacing the State Educational Record View and Submission Service System. MEGS is a web-based system that supports grants business needs. The system supports application submissions, amendments, and approval, as well as grant award notifications. The system also supports the processing of payments against grant awards through reimbursement requests. The initial phase of MEGS launched new applications for the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief Fund, and other programs, which enhances the user experience for more than 500 educational entities. MDE's intranet site includes grants management page that provides an overview information for grants processes and links to the Department of Administration, Office of Grants Management, policies, and tools. And MDE's centralized electronic grant file system supports internal grants oversight activities. With our training, MDE has implemented training for persons responsible for managing grants. This includes their roles and responsibilities, reporting and monitoring requirements, closeout procedures, and where to go for assistance. To share a little bit more, MDE will be creating a toolkit to provide resources for grant managers, which includes grant forms and sample reporting templates, checklists for each grant program that will identify all pertinent information, such as language that governs it, reporting requirements of the grantee and any agency, any appropriate timeframes, and the roles and responsibilities of our authorized representative, the grantee, and grant specialist. Templates and procedures will provide managers with additional details on how to identify or resolve conflicts of interest or any other financial concerns. And closeout templates will be updated to match the OGM policies to ensure that MDE considers grantees' past performance prior to awarding subsequent grants. Yep. Thank you. The next phase, thank you. Okay, yeah, sorry. And I'm also going to touch on the next phase of the things that we're working on progress at MDE. Focusing on technology, the next phase of MEGS will provide complete support to the grant management process by integrating data throughout workflow phases. This will help ensure MDE can meet all federal and state requirements, and our competitive named and single source grants will use this system in fiscal year 25. We'll continue to work hard with our training. This is very important for our grant administrators and our grantees. We'll continue with our employee onboarding, identifying job-related training requirements for grant administrators, and we'll continue to keep better track of our training requirements using our state's ELM system. And finally, the work will continue around policies and procedures. MDE is consulting with MMB's Internal Control and Accountability Office to examine and improve its grant processes. We're in the middle of that project right now and looking forward to the results. MDE is incorporating new guidance from the Department of Administration's Office of Grants Management, and we're working on a continuous improvement project. This project was an initiative to improve our end-of-the-year financial procedures. It was not in response to an audit or consultation, but it's an internal initiative to improve our processes. Additionally, we have other resources. MDE is further strengthening their oversight and monitoring activities, but providing additional resources for this work. And during the 2023 legislative session, the legislature provided additional funding for grant administration, expanding school finance audits, and the Office of the Inspector General, including audit and internal control. The legislator also provided additional resources to support the enterprise through the funding of the Department of Administration Office of Grants Management. With this, I would like to turn it over to our Inspector General, Patrick Wolfgram.
Thank you, Patty. Madam Chair, committee members, my name is Patrick Wolfgram, and I'm the Inspector General at the Minnesota Department of Education, and I'm here to talk to you today about some of the procedures and policies we've implemented since our creation in September of last year. We've reviewed several internal MDE policies and determined which of these policies would best align with the Department of Inspector General for ownership, refresh, and renewal. We've developed a reporting policy that identifies staff requirements and the process for reporting concerns of potential fraud, waste, and abuse. This is included in employee training and new employee onboarding. We worked closely with the Office of the Chief Operating Officer to refine our organizational risk management policy. This policy lays the framework for a formal risk management program by establishing responsibility for risk identification and analysis, planning for risk mitigation, and program management and oversight. It establishes the importance of internal controls and how internal controls coordinate a department's policies and procedures to safeguard its assets, check accuracy and reliability of data, promote operational efficiency, and encourage adherence to sound management practices. We provided guidance and information that provides an easy reference on how to report concerns of fraud, waste, and abuse. This is included on the MDE's intranet site for easy access for staff, as well as is provided through the year. Next. Communication is the success of any mission. We have worked within the Office of Inspector General with our colleagues within MDE to identify internal and external partnerships and stakeholders and open those lines of communication to create an understanding of the work within the Office of Inspector General. This includes identifying and removing some of these silos and barriers to communication to ensure timely reporting and investigation of possible concerns of fraud, waste, and abuse. We have a recurring risk roundtable forum within the Department of Education where employees can discuss patterns and concerns. And we've also engaged with several of our external partners, including the Minnesota Department of Management and Budget Internal Control and Accountability Office, other state agencies' Office of Inspector Generals with Department of Human Services and Corrections, the Minnesota Department of Human Services staff, offices of the state auditor, Minnesota Attorney General's office, and of course, our partners in federal, state, and local law enforcement. The model up there represents the vision that we have in the Office of Inspector General for risk management accountability in working with all our departments across the Minnesota Department of Education to identify and mitigate risk. We conduct routine management activities at the Minnesota Department of Education to strengthen our processes and work with agency finance to improve and reduce future risk. The best protection is prevention. Risk management and accountability principles and practices are being integrated to all parts and become normal management strategy for the Minnesota Department of Education. Through expansion of our program, team and accountability, we're all here to enhance grant management, working hand in hand with the Office of the Chief Operating Officer and the General Counsel's Office to prevent future fraud, waste, and abuse from ever occurring.
Well, thank you both for your efficient and precise report. We really do appreciate that. As you can see, we have thinned down considerably. We always underestimate how much time it's going to take to go through some of these things. We'll look at our calendar to see if there's an opportunity for folks to come back and maybe ask some questions of all of you when a date works well for you. But in the meantime, I just want to say thank you to all of MDE staff and all the folks that have worked really hard on doing the work that the legislature laid out for you. I know it was drinking from the hose, and as we look through this and how much you've been able to accomplish in less than a year is nothing short of outstanding. So I do want to say thank you ever so much for the work and carrying out the intentions of the legislature, and we'll be in touch as we create the next legislative agenda. So thank you all very much, and with that, we are adjourned.